Hi everyone, I thought I'd give you a review of my Sinn U1 dive watch. So I think I've only put one watch review up so far, and that was my Breitling B01. I know there are various reviews out there of Sinn watches, and in particular the U1, but I thought I'd give you one based on my experiences of owning one over the last couple of years for anyone that might be thinking about buying one. So Sinn, for those of you who don't know, they're a German watch company, and they're quite well regarded, I would say, in the watch community. Been making watches for a fair few years now, to quite a high quality and a high standard. So the U1 is their dive watch. This is the U1 that comes in stainless steel with the black face. You can get one with a pale blue face and some various other colours, which I think they've introduced fairly recently in the last year or so. You can also get this one in some slightly different looks. So the bezel, you can get one with a black PVD bezel. You can also get the watch in full PVD with even a PVD strap if you want one. And you can also get them in silicone straps in various colours. So this is the steel strap on the steel watch, plain steel. When I say plain steel, being Sinn, it's not quite plain steel, I suppose. It's German U-boat steel. So this watch is made out of the same steel that they make the German U-boats out of. On the back there, it does actually say somewhere, where is it? U-boat style. I'm assuming that's German for U-boat steel. The reason that they do it apparently is because they've developed U-boat steel to operate in salt water. So for those people that are actually going to go in the sea with this, I suppose that might be a benefit. I'm not going in the sea with it, and like most people that will probably buy this watch, the deepest water it will see will be in the bath or the shower, or maybe the swimming pool on holiday. So this watch has, and I guess the name U1 is a reference to the fact that it's 1,000 meters in water resistance. They do make a smaller watch now called the U50. So this is actually quite a big watch. I think this is 45 millimeters across now. So actually I'll put it on my wrist to show you. I've got a 7.5 inch wrist. So not a small wrist, not a large wrist. So I think actually works quite well on my wrist. I think it's a really good fit and a good size. So the U50 is actually smaller from a size perspective. So if you have got a smaller wrist, the U50 might be for you, but that does come with a reduction in water resistance. That only goes to 500 meters. Not that that really matters. Thickness wise, I think it's just over 15 millimeters in thickness. It's quite a heavy watch. It is quite a heavy watch. I think that for those of you that aren't used to wearing watches, I would urge you maybe to try one on. So if I'm used to wearing big chunky watches, and actually once it's on the wrist, I don't even think about it. But for some of you, that might be something to consider. Really good feature on here, one that I like, is the crown being at 4 o'clock. So all my other watches, the crown is at the 3 o'clock position, which I find digs into my wrist here when I swing it back. So this makes this watch really, really comfortable to wear. It's got a great bezel on it as well. It's a really, really good positive function. One of the things that people do highlight, and I noticed actually after I had the watch, when you push down on either side, I don't know if you can hear it, there is a slight, ever so slight bit of play. And I initially was like, oh crikey, there's something not quite right with this watch, and was on the point of contacting the dealer that I purchased it from. However, did some research online. Apparently that's by design. So watches, when you're taking them in the sea, will get sand in and will get salt in, obviously, as the water dries. And this is to maintain the working efficiency of the bezel in those conditions. So it is by design. One thing of note, it does not have a helium release or escape valve on this watch. Now, for those of you that don't know, helium escape valves are fundamentally for immersion diving. So this is when divers are kept in pressurized environments, so they don't have to decompress on a regular basis. and obviously the helium does get in to the watch, and presumably as you're decompressing to stop the watch exploding or cracking, they have a helium release valve. Again, I did a little bit of research into this. Apparently, Sinn say that their watches are designed and built so well, there's no need for them because helium can't get in. I'm not going to become an immersion diver, so I don't really think that's an issue I need to worry about. Some people like additional complications on their watches, so whether that's an issue for some people or not, I don't know. Sinn offer what is called a tegimented watch, or the process is called tegimentation. It's basically where they heat treat the steel and harden it. So this Sinn U1 watch has the bezel and the actual case is tegimented, whereas the strap is not. Now, when you order the watch, you can buy the watch and have it fully tegimented, which means, or tegimented, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that right, which basically means that the strap and the clasp are tegimented, so that all of the watch is tegimented. One thing I would say is, I cannot see any marks on this case, or in fact on the bezel, in 2 years of ownership. Now, I'm always clunking my watches because they're quite big against things, and invariably all my other watches have got tiny little marks or scratches where I've caught them. So what I would say is it cannot be coincidence in my mind that there are no imperfections on this watch, so I do believe that the tegimentation process definitely benefits it. What I would say is that, and I don't know if you can see it, if you look at here and here, there is a slight colour difference. So it looks to me like the tegimentation process actually colours the watch slightly darker than the regular steel. And it's worth noting actually the strap on this. So all the watches that I have that have bracelets are in stainless steel, and they're either brushed stainless steel or polished. Well, this is neither. This is like a blasted. It's like almost like a sand blasted, and it has such a great finish on it. I really like it. It's just really different, and it looks great on the wrist, and the whole finish of the watch just, I think, really works on here. So as I said, this strap isn't tegimented, and if you look at the clasp here, you can see scratches on it. Now, I've actually bought silicone rubber dive strap for this, and it has a deployment clasp on it, and that deployment clasp I got tegimented, which was obviously more expensive, and I've scratched it. So, you know, all of my clasps in general, I scratch. Some of them I put watch screen protectors on it to avoid it. So I think in general, most people, that's, if you're going to scratch your watch, that's where you're going to scratch it. So do I think if I'd got a pay, and I think it's an extra £200 on the purchase price to get the strap and watch fully, get it all tegimented. Do I regret that? Probably not, given that I had a tegimented deployment clasp and I've scratched it. So I guess the scratches might be less on there, but it probably wouldn't be scratch free. I think the one weak point for me on the watch is the actual clasp itself here. It just feels a little bit cheap. A little bit cheap. I mean, it's absolutely fine. It works really well. It just out of this is so well built. The strap feels so well built. It just feels that this is just about 20% off of probably where it needs to be. It's not a lot, and I really am picking and finding fault. It's got an extension bit on here for going over wetsuit, and obviously you can see the adjustment in here. Sinn, when they send the watch out to you in the box, you get a screwdriver, and you also get some a small bottle of thread locker, so that when you remove screws to actually take the links out to get the watch to fit, excuse me, when you put it back in with thread lock and the tools, so you can do this all yourself. It's really easy. You don't need any specialist tools. It's all provided and supplied by Sinn. experience with Sinn so far has been excellent. I've not had any problems with the watch. What I have done is ordered some extra bits and bobs from them, like a strap and a clasp, etc. Really good, really efficient. You go on, select on their website, the German website, it's all in English. Go on, select your watch, what it is you're looking for. They then contact you in an email, give you a quote, how much it is, send you a link in that, then click on the link, pay it. And I had it, I think on the 2 occasions that I've ordered from them in Germany, I think it took about a week for it to arrive. Their correspondence is brilliant, really good customer service, and for me, luckily, their English is excellent because my German is rubbish. So I can't recommend Sinn enough, really. I was attracted to the watch, I suppose, because of how clear it is to read. It's probably a bit of a Marmite watch for some people, I think. The hands are referred to as Lego, but I really like it. The movement in it, it's got a Sellita. I think it's a Sellita SW200 is the movement. Don't assassinate me in the comments if I've got that wrong. It's a 220 or 200, but I think it's a 200, which, for those of you that don't know, Sellita is basically a copy of ETA movements. I know some people do get hung up on movements. I mean, my Breitling B01, it has the B01 in-house movement on it. If I'm honest, that was one of the attractions for me for that Avenger and why I bought it. However, it's more about the watch and the look of the watch and the feel of the watch on the wrist for me, as opposed to the movement. Now, this Sellita movement in here, it runs 2 seconds slow a day, which is better than the Breitling in-house COSC and is better than all of my COSC watches. So this keeps better time on a Sellita movement. And if you do have a problem with it or any issues, any good reputable watchmaker, you can take it to and get them to look at it. Whereas my Breitling is going to have to go to Breitling, and if I do have a problem with it, it's probably going to cost 3 or 4 times what this would cost to fix. So all in all, there aren't really many negatives about this watch. I think the one thing I would say about this watch, if I had to pick a watch, I don't know what, if there was a Holocaust tomorrow and I had to take one watch with me that was gonna absolutely last, I wouldn't have to worry about keeping time, I wouldn't have to worry about what environment I was in or what I was doing, it would be this. It's just an absolute tank of a watch. And it's fantastic, it really is. Sinn make a lot of watches other than dive watches, and there's loads of information on their site. So I would encourage you to, if you are interested, go and have a look, see what you think. Anyway, that's the Sinn U1.